stop and then we call the higher ups and.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? I think we put a limit on 15,000
We did.
a piece.
15,000
That's why I'm
apiece.
saying we need motions here.
All right, I'll move that we repair the sinkholes not to exceed 15,000
A piece. Okay,
And if it
Brian?
does, to come back to the board.
Okay. Brian made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, second by Peter. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, what about the tree trimming?
Well, we do have some areas on the, as you can see in our thing here, that we have some tree trimming issues. There's a couple of areas that the tree trimming, the trees are encroaching on the roads. There's one that's, where is it here? Item number 41. The branches are, you pull up to the stop sign, you can't see to the north from the stop sign because the tree branches are out in the road, so if we can get those cut back so the people looking to the right, to the north there, they can see traffic coming.
So that's a safety issue on
That's
that
it,
one.
that one's a
So that one's
safety
a
issue.
due now.
Probably should
Okay.
get that done sooner than later, yes.
Okay, can you connect with Daryl to get those ones that are potential safety issues taken care of sooner than later?
Point of interest,
Yes,
is there enough trees to be trimmed this year for a tree trimming contract? Or are we going to do the bits and pieces through Daryl's maintenance contract?
Well, I look at the list here, I only see two on here listed on the road tour, so,
Daryl, is there big areas? Are we pretty well caught up on the big areas of tree trimming?
No, I'd say they're just bits and pieces where, they're overhanging the roads for trees falling.
Then we can do that under your maintenance contract, your handyman's contract?
Well, yes and no, because we have to go up in a bucket truck well, we can drop them, but if we puncture the road.
All right, so then we need a price for his tree trimming crew, so much an hour to do the
Okay.
little pieces then, okay.
okay.
Was that in the past?
You can do that, Daryl? Give us
Me and Peter can go around, we'll just go around the developments, one development might only have one tree, not take a whole development like we have, but do a bunch.
but you can give us a price on a tree trimming crew, so much an hour?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you have that ready by next meeting?
Sure.
Okay,
And I was gonna say 234th, where we put the
Street sign?
asphalt, broken up, reusable asphalt, the termite.
Yeah.
There's a dead tree there, and it's good size, but I don't know if it's in our right of way, but I think we should take a look at it anyway, because it's really bad, going towards 75.
Right.
It's really bad. I'm afraid a snowplow this winter could do justice.
All right.
all right, is there anything else on this list from the supervisors that did the road tour that you found concerning or that you think need our immediate attention?
I'm only going to bring it up again, is on 188th. That boat,
Well, we have the letter sent, is that
No,
that's a different one?
that's a different one.
that's
Has that
different.
letter been sent on this one?
No.
Okay,
We sent the letter to them, right, last fall, about the boat had to be,
The boat,
The pontoon.
no, the pontoon's on the other side of the
There's a,
road.
there's a boat and
the
a
ones that
pontoon.
Brian gave to me, I sent letters, yes.
Yeah, pictures we took.
Yes, I did.
That hasn't moved in years, and I really am getting more and more concerned about that, the boat. The pontoon, he did move it back to,
He was informed, so if something happens to it,
well, I think it's in the right of way. And I'm concerned about the danger. There's more and more traffic on that road.
Are you talking the one on the east side over by me?
No,
That built out-
188.
Down-
It's
Down from him.
It's down
Oh,
from me,
okay.
going up the next hill, and it's a red and white.
Is that the one we see on the road tour? That was, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's right.
Oh, it's,
Yeah.
what's the next move on that then? If we sent the letter, or 2 or 3,
I think this was a different, the one that Shelley's talking about is on the east side of the lake over by me. We did send a letter. That one's right on
No.
the edge, whether it's.
The other one
there or
is the
not.
pontoon, it's down a little farther on the lake side
Yep.
of my place,
Yep.
of my road.
I don't know if we've sent a letter to that. That's not the one that Shelley was referring to.
There was 2 that Brian gave me, the information for, was
That's
that one of
Yeah.
them, Brian?
Yeah, that was both on the,
They
Okay.
complied, the pontoon, they
So
complied.
that one, okay, that one, it came back that the person who was there wasn't, it was vacant. But I know it's not vacant, but it came back as address.
Return to sender.
You're saying where this boat is?
yes.
I think we should contact our attorney to find out what, I'm serious, this boat is so close to the edge of the road. And with the school buses that are going down there, with the other vehicles, that's tight.
It's already a small road.
Yeah, well, this weekend, they started parking empty pontoon trailers on the hill right across from my place, and I offered them they could park in my driveway and up in that one, because it's the same thing, it's that close, coming around that corner, we're gonna have an accident, and I don't wanna have to go out there. And I really think if we sent this letter, I think we should take a look and find out what we can do about this, because that boat hasn't been moved in at least 2 years.
We gotta find out the property owner, if maybe where we sent it is not the property owner. The property owner is responsible for that boat. That may not be the person living there.
I'll do some research.
and if necessary, or we can authorize you to contact our attorneys to ask what's our next
You
step.
can pull up Beacon, you can see who owns it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She can do that,
Yeah.
It's just,
All right, so we'll make some effort on that. And then you said there was another one you wanted to make effort on as well, or just the 188?
it's
So
fun.
the other pontoon that we
Structure.
heard got pushed back, so they
They
moved
complied.
it. Okay. Anything else that people have concerns about? That needs to be done this meeting to authorize any work?
I did have somebody reach out, actually they reached out to Shelley and she forwarded it to me, but they were asking about the greenways, which I did not know what that was, I had to look it up. When we were on the road tour, Brian, you and Peter pointed out to me where it's technically a road right of way down to the lake. This person was asking, one, can they put a dock there, which I'm pretty confident the answer is no on that. But they were also asking, can they walk through that to launch a canoe and kayak? Which it does appear that they can, because it is a right of way. The problem is, someone's using it as their driveway right now. And if you look on Beacon, at least half of their garage and part of their house is on that right of way. And the person was concerned because he goes, I can't even get to the lake, like if I want to launch a kayak, I can't even get there because of trailers right now that someone is storing there.
Because we actually own that.
It's technically owned by us, we actually have 2 on the west side.
We do.
It's
So-
owned by the township.
Township,
Yes.
yeah.
If you look on Beacon and you click on it, it highlights all the roads around that side and those 2 that go to the
You can
lake.
do it on Onyx Hunt, you can do it on
Yep.
Beacon, it shows the same.
Yeah, they're about 2 or 3 houses down from you.
There's
There's
a-
a gap in there, that's actually
That's ours.
township right away.
I didn't know that was the township, I thought that
That's
was.
where we're
the
looking at putting a manhole and possibly a
Right,
storm
storm
scepter.
last
Storm
Yep.
scepter and stuff through there.
You know, we should probably do a encroachment agreement on that, on those garages that are on our right of way. That we acknowledge that they're on our right of way, or we have them move them.
Yeah, I mean, the one's not close, it's not like it's a corner or anything, it's at least halfway on the right of way.
So there we should at least do a encroachment agreement and not acknowledge that it's there and we approve it, or we have them move it. I mean, that's your 2 choices.
How do we approach that by getting it, do we have to have it surveyed, do we have to have it, how do we?
Yeah, you probably have it surveyed just to show the guy, here's the property, and, but we gotta decide, this group, do you wanna do an encroachment agreement and allow it to happen? Or are you gonna force them to move the garage?
On top of that, if I know Beacon's not perfect, but according to Beacon, even part of the house is on it. And it's, we're not gonna ask them to
We're
move
not
their
gonna ask them
house.
to move their
So
house.
then you're gonna, then
Yeah,
you
have to
probably
have
have to
some
do a
type of an
encroachment
agreement.
agreement, you
Yep.
acknowledge it, and
Yeah,
Okay, so,
And more so, they cannot use that and block that whole thing off. If we're allowing, which I don't know if we have any kind of ordinance, but if people are publicly allowed to use those, we have to make sure those are clear. If people wanna launch kayaks and stuff, I realize they can't launch their full boat and everything there, but if they wanna walk down there and
they can
fish
walk down to the lake and fish there.
or
if they
kayak or
want to.
whatever, those people that own on either side of that cannot block that off.
no.
Okay. Do we have an address of that? Can you give that address to Shelley?
Shelley has it, she's been copied on the
Okay.
email, so I guess it's not an address, but it's the property IDs on either side of it. So the guy took a picture of Beacon for us,
But though, okay,
so we can find the addresses of the two in question.
okay.
sticky wicket.
Yes.
It's messy no matter what we do.
No,
Do we wanna make a decision about, having, our attorneys produce an encroachment?
We already got it,
Okay,
it's a standard form. I think you want Kevin to go out and take property corners to be sure.
anyway,
Anyway,
I
let's
agree.
Even though we're
start
gonna-
there, stake the property corners, then we got something to discuss.
I
Okay,
agree,
so
'cause
can-
Beacon's not always perfect, so.
all right, so do we want to modify your motion for work for Kevin to do to include this?
I would actually rather have a new motion, because
Okay.
I don't think Daryl needs to be part of that.
All right, go ahead, tell us
So,
what it is.
separate motion, I make a motion that Kevin can go survey the two, I guess they're called greenways or easements, I don't know what we want to refer to them as, but the two easements on the west side of Eagle Lake.
On the
And-
west side,
They're both on the west side.
the one, I know.
At least in question. I'm not aware of any on the east side. I know there's a couple shared accesses on the east side, but I'm not aware of any.
Actually,
Okay,
there's three, isn't there? I think there's
Do you
three.
think there's three? Can we leave it
One
that
up on the
open-ended
point.
and say any on
What's
Eagle
that
Lake?
with that?
why would you say any?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Why don't
because
we
I'm not
just say
aware of
any?
one on the east, but let's
There
say
may be
any.
ones we don't know, so maybe any,
well, you get over on Ann Lake, there's 2 or 3 areas where people are parking.
but we're talking about ones
Just-
on,
Just
Eagle
on
Lake.
Eagle
Oh.
Lake.
Just that one that I'm aware of.
There's two.
There's two I seen.
I know there's
On
two.
Oh, the one, way
By
at
the
the end of the point,
No, there's.
That one's technically a third, but you can't access the
Down
lake from
By
there.
that red place. That's an easement.
oh, it is?
I think so.
Yeah, there's one on the
And
far end, yeah.
then my neighbor,
And that's why I think we should
Down the
take
bottom
any.
right.
Well, as long as
That's
Kevin's
what-
out surveying, you might as well have him do them.
And that's why I think we should do any, and is there any that we're not
Any
aware
on Eagle
of?
Lake.
Yeah,
It
Yeah.
shows that there's 5 out on the point and 3 on the south side.
south side might be Big Lake Township though.
That could be.
Uh,
But out on the point where you're talking, it looks like there's technically 5 that are connected to the
I would
road.
say the one down.
Okay.
We'll do any,
Let's say any, because this, we're already.
we're there.
So I authorize Kevin to survey any easements that connect to the road to Eagle Lake.
And report
to us.
back on any encroachments.
Correct.
Will you take that friendly amendment to, and report back on any encroachments?
Yes, I'll take that.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second, Brian, further discussion?
Well, and I think that's important to know that now with what's happened at the boat launch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now Kevin has 3 things to do.
I can have one question for Peter. Did you get a hold of Erickson Asphalt on your potholes?
not yet. I'm gonna work on that this week. And then I hopefully, next week, might go and meet with somebody about doing that, getting that stuff done.
They're around about $160 a piece. I don't know how many you have on
I
there.
still need to get that guy's number from him. That guy-
I give you his card?
No,
Oh.
you said you were gonna give me his number and you never did yet. So,
Eli at Erickson Asphalt, up in Princeton. So that'll be another 10-15 grand to get potholes taken care of.
But we need to get some more information before we do anything about that. Okay. We take care of roads now? I want to note you took longer than I have the entire rest of the agenda, just so we're aware. We talked about making meetings run long, so.
Okay.
All right, we still have road stuff. Golden Oak Estate, Cherokee Lane, property line vacancy. We have a map here.
We got maps, we got pictures, you name it, we've got it. Okay,
Where is this actually?
it is on the south side of Ann Lake.
On the south side of Ann Lake.
Yes.
Okay?
County Road 15. You know where Minnesota Limited used to be?
Yes. It's that property
It's
there.
that property
Okay,
there.
all right, now I'm with you. Okay.
I was approached a couple months ago from Ava Linus about the proposed road that's right there in the pink. She has received property that's in the yellow, and she wants to build on that. Now, according to our county, they cannot do that because there's no 67-foot setback there. They have requested that we vacate this road even though there is no road there. It's just pine trees and sandburs. I explained to her that we did not accept these roads because there's no roads there, but she went to the county, came back, and the county proved me wrong. We do own those roads and we have accepted those roads, even though there's no roads there.
When did we accept them?
Back in, well, that'd be the next slide, I believe. Here is the paperwork from 1974, saying that we do own those roads.
So
And
we own, back to the other picture. So we own Cherokee Lane,
Lane.
Cherokee Circle,
yep,
Muhammad
Circle
Circle, and
and
whatever that
what,
is.
I can't remember, yeah.
Sioux Circle.
Sioux Circle, yes.
So how much of this is developed already?
Nothing,
None of those are. Okay.
nope,
Is that
nothing is
better?
developed.
Is that better?
Yes. Yes, so that's,
It's the old Linus property.
yep, it's the old Linus property. There, it's 164th Street, that's County Road 15, and then that 165th, that's Old County Road 15.
Mm-hmm.
That goes along the lake and then comes back out. Yes, that's the other one in question. So these roads, they requested that if they could,
But they're platted.
they're platted, yes. They're platted, and according to the signed documentation from Orrock Township back in 1974 and the county, we did accept those roads, even though there's no roads there.
What, hon?
Oh,
What?
boy.
We accepted the plat. Okay.
Well, I can see we accepted the plat. You sure we accepted the roads?
Well, that's what Commissioner Felber said. We accepted the plat.
Plat, but that doesn't mean we accepted the roads.
Well, somewhere on here, I thought I read that.
The plat was approved.
We
There's the
discussed the
future
roads in this
roads.
plat, and the town board wants to appear personally at the next meeting to discuss them. Escrow for road costs before they will sign the plats.
I thought I read in here that roads were accepted somewhere here.
Okay.
But according to the county, it's up to us whether we vacate this road or what we decide to do as a board.
Sell it, vacate it.
Do we vacate it, or do we direct them to get a variance to do what they gotta do? The one thing that I had a question on, you know, it's a connecting road from the old County Road 15 to the new County Road 15.
This is.
Yeah, no, this is new County Road 15, this is old. This is a connecting road for more fire, ambulance. if they
Through
have
the
to-
pine trees.
Through the pine trees, which there is no road.
Okay.
Yes, easements, drainage. The other thing that I had too is if these other properties do get developed, the road would be gone, and how would they get to that?
Oh, who owns all of this? Various people?
They're right here.
They own this whole thing.
Yep,
They
that's
still-
my grandpa's land.
Yeah.
They still own that yet.
Okay.
They haven't sold it off to plat it yet.
But it's platted already.
Yes.
It's not gonna be. It's platted from 1974, and so that's how it's sat, since nothing's been done.
Her great-grandfather platted it out, and
It was bought platted.
it was bought platted?
Yes, by John Oliver.
Okay.
Yep.
So does
I
your
can see
grandpa-
where, I can see where we accepted the plat. I don't think we accepted the roads because they weren't built. I think Commissioner Fawber's right, we got the plat has been approved.
Okay.
There was something in the email about escrow that was paid.
Yeah, it does say that in here in the letter.
But that would show up in our financials, and I don't think there's any Golden Oaks estate in our escrow.
Do a little research.
Yeah,
In 1974, yeah.
Because it says here that we are going, Orrock Township is going to probably going to require bonding or escrow for road costs before they will sign the plats. But apparently, the plats got signed,
Yep.
so we'd have to make sure there wasn't bonding or escrow.
well, Kelly will have it in her list of, that would be in the finances that we get later, that should be in there if we have money put away.
So they own the 4 lots.
They own the whole thing.
Well, that-
Grandpa owns
is
the whole
that
thing.
part of the
Grandpa
yellow?
Right, but they're
That's
getting
what I own is the yellow.
So you're
So
able.
5 lots, yep,
You're
I'm
able,
able.
okay.
Yep.
the 5 lots?
The-
There's an
The little-
outlot.
Outlot under
I
lot
consider
2,
it five.
the south.
Right,
Yes.
here.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
And so where is the setback problem?
So the setback is on the north side of the property where Cherokee Lane sets.
The
Which,
Cherokee Lane,
yep, which legally is right away.
it'd be easier to give a variance on that road.
They had told me that's not gonna be as easy as we can talk about it, so.
Because this is the same issue that came up with Mary and Ross Reno.
Nope.
When they
It
were-
just so happened that this came up right
Like
after
a
we
week later.
discussed it. Like a week or so later after, and it was just like, wow, I got a
And
couple
because
of
we had
phone
mentioned
calls.
that, and Brenda mentioned it's a lot harder to abandon roads than it is to give the variance, like Brian just mentioned. Um,
So
Is if that does get developed, which I would think at some point in time it will,
I mean,
you're gonna need those roads.
It will.
Can you, well, what we were kind of wondering too is are you able to vacate up to the east end of lot 4? And then, you know, the other lots on block 1, 5, 6, 7, and 8 can access through the county, County Road 15, as well as the ones on block 3, 8, 7, 5, and 4.
They're gonna have the same problem. They're not gonna have the setback requirements.
right, I mean, we're gonna end up with the same problem with.
Yeah, so
with
that
no matter what,
doesn't solve anything.
where there's gonna be a setback issue.
Why can't you go here? You just use this road. I guess I'm sorry. So where are you looking at building?
We're looking on building between lot 3 and 4,
On the
towards
north
the
end.
north end. And actually, where the setback, there's actually, right actually about where the number 3 and 4 is, there's a line of pine trees right there.
Right.
And to the north of that, there's a good open field there that we were looking at building in, where we originally imagined. And that corner there, that 67-foot setback comes so far in, where it becomes an actual problem on where we would be able to put the house. We would have to cut a bunch of trees down and move towards the south, which we're not really looking to do that, I guess.
You don't want to touch lots 1 and 2 is what you're saying.
Correct. Yep, we want to leave all the pine trees there for privacy, and we're going to have our access is going to come off 165th there.
Is that the south side then?
165th is right to the west.
That's the old.
You could access
Old
from.
15.
Oh, at the angle.
15, yeah, the angle.
Yeah.
You know what I'd recommend is we get the attorney, did we accept the roads, or did we accept the plat? Where are we on this? Because we don't have enough information right now.
According, no. I guess I
So Brian, are you saying if we didn't accept the road that it's a non-issue? Is that?
No, if if it's platted, those roads are dedicated to us.
Right,
The right-of-way is dedicated, we don't have an obligation to build the road. We have the right-of-way.
Mhm. But wouldn't we still need to give a variance at that point?
Yes. You're still gonna have to get a variance either way, but at least we know where we are.
Okay.
I don't think, why would it be that difficult to get a variance?
I don't think so
They
either.
do it all the
I
time
talked to
for,
Mark up at the county, that's exactly what he told me, he's been there for how long, so.
Yeah.
Just because we don't have good enough, I could say reasoning, but obviously, yeah.
well,
And then too, if there is no future development, which there isn't, it's not getting sold or isn't sold right now, and it's planning on being within the family, would it be that much harder just to vacate that whole road?
Right.
we gotta give that some thought. Again, I think we gotta get the attorneys involved as far as what do we own? Do we own the road or just the right-of-way? And from there, we can have to determine, do we wanna give up that right-of-way or do we wanna go through the variance process?
I'm just reading the second edition here. Surveyed and platted as Golden Oaks Estate Second Edition and do hereby donate and dedicate to the public for the public's use forever the road, highway, lane, and circles as shown on this plat.
That's what I thought.
So, also dedicating for utility and drainage purposes, utility and drainage easements as shown on this plat. Also dedicated to the county of Sherburne, the right of access to county state aid highway 15 from lots 1, 8, 9, and 16.
So theoretically, if we allow them to build there and we didn't vacate the road, they're gonna have to pay for that portion of the road in front of their lots. It's the same thing we did with, Bev Oppels had that problem over the years
Right.
with her development. If they develop that, they're gonna have to pay for that road in front of their property.
Yeah, and they're also dedicating to county of Sherburne the right of access to state aid highway 15 from 1, 8, 9, and 4. 1, 8, 9, and 16. And 1, 2, 3, 4, block 3, and block 8. So, we've got multiple issues here. Okay.
Dalton, I would suggest you go and talk to Mark, if you don't, I can.
Yeah.
And, explain what the situation is and see what the,
And get his version of what they
On
think.
why it's a problem, yeah.
And specifically, if Sherburne County's been granted access to certain parts of this, and we have taken it,
Mhm.
we also probably need to talk to our attorneys.
and you and I can go down and talk to Mark, if you want.
We can do that, or I can email them too, or call them and,
Mark, you wanna go face to face?
yeah.
Get up in there.
Okay.
Yeah, on my level.
Sticky wicket, 'cause
Yeah.
we gotta find out what, do we have the plat, do we have the roads? What are the options for variances?
Okay.
We'll do the research.
Yeah, we will definitely do that and find out what is actually ours, if it's platted, if it's just, we accepted the plat, if we accept the roads. I mean, it sounds, reading the actual signed document doesn't prove any clarity, with this.
See, if this was platted before we adopted the setbacks, this may be grandfathered in, which could very likely be.
Right. Yeah. Could be. But you're saying the county said it's our issue?
Yep,
Yeah.
yep, I think, Peter was, CC'd on that
Yep.
email as well, so.
Yep, I was
he's well
CC'd
aware.
on that email
Yep.
from Mark, and he laid out he says, he gave us three steps to do this.
Yep.
First one was, I can't remember, the second one was we vacate the road. The township vacates the road, or third, we would have to apply for a variance from the county to do this.
Yeah, and I know he stated in that email chain too that it was very hard finding any records, and that's all he had, those two that are there, so he couldn't even track where the payment was or anything like that for that escrow. for the
Well, if we don't have it in her records, the payment was never
The
made.
email that you got from,
And they would have been able to sign that document too then?
Well, again, I think in the document, it's just, they platted the road,
I
we
think I
got the
did, I'll
emails.
double check.
And they let it go with
I'll
that.
send them on to her,
Okay, so
she
basically
can
it's just
forward
a
it to the
signed
attorney.
plat.
Yep.
See what we can do.
Yep.
I mean, there's monuments according to this in the ground.
There is, yeah, because we had a survey crew come out and
Yep,
find those.
So,
come back after we hear.
all right, so,
All right.
So what are we trying to figure out from Mark? If we already have an email from Mark and he's already given us the three, I just wanna make sure I know what my marching
Let's
order.
go down and talk to Mark.
Okay,
Talk to Mark one, then the other thing is,
And
Have-
send the
have
emails
Shelley.
to Shelley, and we'll talk with the attorney.
after you guys talk, yeah, then have Shelley get with the attorney. And then we go from there.
and then find out, whatever our attorney tells us, how we can resolve this and draw up
See what
whatever
our
documents
options
we need
See what
to,
our options are, yeah.
see what our options are, and if we only
What
have
your options
one,
are.
Yeah,
draw up the documents.
yep.
and then Peter will be in contact with us and.
Yeah, I can,
Since he's been your contact, we'll let it stay with Peter for now,
Absolutely.
Okay.
but there's multiple board members working on it, so.
I think Ava, you actually called me like a week after.
Okay, so
Or
Dalton
something,
and
yeah.
Peter will continue to work on it
Yep.
with the assistance of Brian.
Yep.
Yep,
And may I suggest, if we get enough response that it's gonna be on the agenda next month, then Shelley contact them so that they know that specifically.
That'd be great.
Make sure you leave your phone number or email.
I'll put it on the sheet.
Is it worth looking into the property across the street also, on the east
No.
side for the same issue or not?
No.
Does Orrock own those roads too, you suppose?
Which side you talking?
The east side of 15?
East side.
You're talking Cherokee
New
Circle
15,
and,
not pictured in here?
Yeah, that is, my Aunt Paulette owns those, so I don't think they're gonna be doing
That's
that.
plotted the same way though, right?
Yeah,
It is, but I don't think they're planning on doing anything with that or whatever, just like my grandpa,
I
it's
just know
just
they're-
like it.
If their attorneys were looking into it, if it's worthwhile, see
Right.
if that thing. Sure, it's maybe
point.
first.
Yep, absolutely.
Well,
Yep.
Yeah,
So
that-
just-
yeah.
so just for clarification, for the road committee, make sure that you're, with the communication and everything, that we don't have three
I
people.
was just gonna say, how is this gonna work?
Right, so, I think maybe, you got the emails, Peter?
I got the emails and I can just forward, I think I forwarded them to Shelley, but I'll double check.
Being that you're planning and zoning, wanna talk with
And
Brian?
that's, me and Brian are gonna go, and we need to make sure we're not.
Because he's on the planning commission,
Yeah.
I'm on the board of adjustments. so-
Right. So we just need to make sure that we watch all the communication here, okay? Just, great, okay, moving on.
Just for your guys' own, don't copy more than 2 of us on an email, otherwise we can't respond to you.
Yep, no worries.
Okay.
Sounds good.
You, Shelley doesn't count in that. Shelley can always be CC'd with the 5 of us up here. You can't have more than 2 of us on an email.
Okay. That sounds good.
So we try to keep all the communication going with one person to
Okay.
not break any,
If you need to get,
Oh, you can always email things to me and then I'll send you.
yeah, if you need to get a hold of
but
me.
yeah, if you're not sure,
Yeah.
you just don't wanna break any laws and, or have to shut down the communication.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank
Okay.
you again.
Yep,
You guys.
we'll keep working on it.
Yeah.
Okay, I won't, but they will. Be honest about it.
Work in progress.
Okay, updates, Adams,
No, I've spoken enough tonight.
Hellinger,
I'm fine.
Felber, I'm just gonna keep it short, moving on. Owen,
I don't have much to, we did the road tour. I did talk with Kevin a little bit about, because we had a discussion on the road tour about the woods of Eagle Lake. He's thinking that might be next year or the year after for fixing that one, fixing those roads. We need Shelley to send a letter to 25415 161st Street Northwest, a letter about parking on the street because we were having issues. Did the road tour and there was cars, trailers all over on the street. So we need a letter sent to that person. And it's funny because there's a squad car sitting in the driveway. So you think you would know better.
were they legally parked on the street?
Well, they were in the cul-de-sac and everything. I don't think it's, I know Daryl's had issues with that person, especially plowing
Was it
snow.
in the
so-
winter or summer? I mean, in the summer, I mean, were they legally parked on the street?
They have trailers parked there with no vehicle hooked up to it, they're using it for their driveway.
Personal driveway.
Okay. Trailers are different than vehicles.
161st Street Northwest.
So cars can be legally parked on
Yeah.
our roads.
But the
Trailers are a different thing.
Yeah.
So let's make sure we're clear about it being trailers and not vehicles. And again, that's summer, not winter. Okay.
Remember that parking last week or last month we talked about? They can park on the road or they have to park off the road.
Right, depending on whether there's a curb or not a curb. So is this curbed or not curbed?
No curb, no curb in that area.
Okay, then they need to be in the easement.
Okay.
And they're on the asphalt.
They were
They're
full-fledged
just,
on the
using-
asphalt.
yeah, they're just,
Full-fledged on the
they're just
asphalt.
using it as a driveway.
Okay,
They're just using it as a
all
driveway.
right, let's just make sure we're clear what we're telling them. Okay. You can send them a copy of the state statute on parking on the roads.
Other than that, that's all I got for this time.
Where are we, because you said you were gonna update about meetings for 188th Street. Kevin was gonna.
Yes, good thing you mentioned that. Kevin did report, Eagle Lake is still in progress, the planning on that. And he's hoping, he's not ready right now for a neighborhood meeting on that yet, but he's hoping that possibly by July, he will have this all wrapped up, sewn up, and getting ready for a neighborhood meeting for that reconstruction project in your area.
Let's hit that, have it ready for our June meeting.
Okay.
Because that gives us some publicity usually to get it out there as far as
I
in
will,
the
let
neighborhood
him know
meeting.
that we.
Right, Katie?
I'm sorry, I was typing, I didn't listen to what you just said.
Oh, if they would talk about the 188th Street project, which is next year, but they're having a meeting, it could get into the paper
Yeah, of course, contact me and we can.
in June. Yeah, thanks.
They're talking about after the 4th, I think is what he's.
Yep.
After the 4th
After the
holiday.
4th, yes.
I know, but what I'm saying is then it's in the paper.
Ahead of time, we can set a date.
people
We
can
set a
start to
date.
plan.
Set a
ahead.
date in June.
Yes,
Okay, I will make a note of that.
Okay.
thank you.
Dalton.
My only thing was the greenway easements. We already talked about it, so I'm good.
Going back real quickly, I did use the boat landing over Memorial Day weekend. Sunday was not bad, we were able to get in and out. Monday was very crowded, there were multiple issues. The deputy was out there most of the day, had to do with some signage issues, weren't quite set, they're working on that. But it seems like the numbers were down. Would you say that?
There were no parking issues on our township roads.
No, not on one.
Okay,
I didn't
all
get any
right.
phone
It
calls.
was more of a county issue, unfortunately.
You got it,
Okay.
which we can,
Yeah, I drove by that right before this meeting, and the barricades still confuse me how they have them set up, and there are definitely people still fishing and parking on that person's property.
but
I
yeah.
don't
But
know if they are or not.
Mm,
That's the question. is the way they have that divided and open.
Yeah, if you look at Beacon, it's weird.
The Beacon, it shows it like they don't own the lake property, it's like they own a sliver behind it.
Yes.
Which if that's the case, those people are technically fishing legally,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
Does he own the lakeside?
No.
He owns the other side,
He owns the roadside.
roadside.
And you can, there's stakes there and it says right away.
He owns where everybody
Yeah, I'm
parks.
He owns the middle.
Actually, that's
Yes.
the thing, he owns,
Where- from
currently
the
the county
barricade
owns
So
the,
far to these stakes that are there.
he owns that arrow that's the middle.
From the barricades to County Road 75 right away.
A 5 foot at the most.
Yeah.
The edge of it has survey stakes on one side and Jersey barriers on the other.
Yes.
Just people are kind of confused by where all the other junk is right now.
yeah.
There needs
It's
to,
gonna get moved.
because there needs to be better signage,
What's
it
gonna
didn't
be?
work. Whatever was out there didn't work.
Signs and
The
barrels.
signs need to be moved, new signage, signs need to be moved. It's been an all-weekend project between the deputy and the commissioners and
I mean, this no parking between signs, those signs are gonna get
No.
moved?
well, yes, and then also trying to create a more streamlined driving, streamlined staging area for them to come in through, stage the boats, and then,
Do you want me to add in?
do you care, do you wanna hear it or not?
I think we should, because
Okay, so
this
what
was
we're
a
gonna-
special meeting we had for this.
So what we're doing for sure, for the record, Greg Felber, County Commissioner, District 3, for sure, we're going to get signage made that says no parking boat preparation area. We're actually copying the sign, probably gonna copy the sign that they used on Lake Orono, and that's gonna be the zone from what used to be the middle driveway on north. And we're investigating moving, well, all the barrels, because the barrels were confusing people, where the barrels are set beside the turn lane. That turn lane is now parking by the resolution that we passed. What used to be the turn lane as you're coming north on 75, that's the resolution designates that as parking at this point in time. But they were busy last week and they didn't get all the barrels out of there. So people were driving by and not parking there because the barrels were just pushed into the ditch. And that was one of the confusing parts of it. So those barrels are gonna be picked up, and at least some of them are gonna be put up to be backing those surveying stakes that we already have out there. So it makes it easier to see the line from the private property to the county easement. And we're also investigating whether or not we can pull the southernmost no parking sign and let people park along that portion of the county easement that used to be the parking lot without additional liability issues. That was today
So, more to come.
and yesterday, so.
And the day before.
I agree, and I've been,
Huh?
And the day before.
Yeah, and the day before that, and over the weekend, and on Sunday, and
More to come. All
more
right.
to come, but for our purposes, I really think we have a non-issue on our township
yeah.
roads. So,
I mean, we
for
have-
that part, I think we're great. Knock on wood.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna go to treasurer's business. We're going back to where we pulled the stuff from the consent agenda. On the review or approval of treasurer's reports, routine claims, payroll, and additional April 2025 disbursements. It was asked that that be pulled for discussion. I know that we got an email about how they look a little different, because trying some different things, or not trying, but doing things differently, I'm sorry. But I think it added to a little bit of confusion and non-clarity for some of us. All right, so, do you wanna,
well, I forgot, I turned this off and I'm trying to get it on here.
okay,
Yeah, the first question that I had was, is it dealing in the payroll issue? That if you read the minutes and the motion that was made in that, it was the changing of the chair and the road authority to increase them by $25 each per month. But it says beginning May 1st. And I felt, because I thought I was the one that brought it up about when it was going to start, that's when the pay would start. And so there seems to be some misunderstanding that was when the checks were going to be actually approved in the May one. And my contention was we started May 1st with the new pay schedule, but not for April. That was the first, well, I called Kelly on it. She interpreted it that it was to be starting immediately in April.
Like from that meeting that day going.
And I think Peter and I did the same thing because we both put that on our pay things. That it would be for the checks issued in May.
I was just under the assumption from that meeting.
Yep.
But we're not going backwards to the previous meetings for payment, so that's the reason why.
Right, I understand what,
So let me,
I just felt that was,
But yes, after
The-
looking at the official meeting minutes and the way the motion or whatever was written, it would have been May
It was
1st.
beginning in May. And it said beginning in May, but that was checks issued in May.
it doesn't say checks though.
It also doesn't say
It says
not
pay.
checks.
Yeah, I know, I disagree.
But I think independently,
Audit wise, I think we have to have that force.
but I think independently, Peter and I, without talking to each other, both did the exact same thing. Is we put them in for May paychecks. So I think it's $50, guys, it's $50. So 25 apiece. Are we gonna spend a lot of time on this, or are you just gonna?
I just know after going through our audit, those were specifics that we were kind of going through. And they were to come back and check the exact date of when that was approved and when it's being able to be paid. So according to these meeting minutes, it does say May. So that would be next month, because we're always.
So we would be paid in May,
In
is what
May.
it says.
No, it would be paid.
But it says
Your time
paid
would
in
be-
May.
The time you spend in May, your pay rate starts in May.
And that's not how I.
That's how you interpret it, but that's how the motion reads, the pay rate starts in May.
It's up to you guys. I mean, if you
Well, I
guys,
brought the issue up, so I'll make the motion that big checks be written and the actual pay begins May 1st, the starting rate, the month of May. For the 175.
So
That's the motion.
payroll here would be for the 150 for this month,
For April,
for
for April,
And
in
then
May, it goes, yes.
Yep,
Not when they actually get it.
no, but the
Getting
payroll
the check.
checks that would be being printed right now for April's meeting would be the $150.
Yeah.
And then going forward as of May 1st, that's your 175.
all right, you have a motion. Do you have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
All right. Any discussion?
So I agree, man, it's $50, so I'm not too worried about it, but I think the bigger thing is what Kelly's saying is the audit. That's the only part that concerns me.
Well,
That's
I mean, we can either
issue with that. So
go with his first and second and not give us our $25 apiece,
Mhm.
or we can not vote for that, issue another motion making it that we get our $25.
I don't know why you're worried about $25, Amy.
I don't either, because it wasn't a big issue at all, but every fight for anything that shows we have
I think the
work.
motion was clear last month. so-
It was my motion, and the motion that I made was to get paid in May.
And it was seconded by Dalton, and I stated, and when is this gonna begin? And that's when it was said, May 1st.
May 1st.
He said immediately.
You said
He said
immediately.
immediately.
Call the question.
Call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Aye.
Motion fails. I make a motion that the pay be immediate, including the current paychecks, to be $170 or $25 per road authority and chair to be issued tonight. 175 for me, and no,
Like, you're
25
normally
additional,
150,
25
so,
additional
yeah.
to be issued tonight. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
Okay.
So my one concern with that is, do we need to amend the minutes? Because if it's saying May 1st,
This will
I-
go into the minutes.
but the previous minutes, that's what I'm concerned about, is what Kelly's talking about. My concern is an audit. I'm not concerned about the $50 either way. I do remember that the motion was immediate, like takes effect immediately. That was the motion, which would imply that what you were saying, Ann, is correct.
Which is why we had the second thing in the minutes that said, take away the $40 that I had claimed.
Correct, but I'm saying,
That's not in the minutes.
but that's my point here, is I think we need to go back and amend our minutes to make sure, to Kelly's point, that if we have an audit, this is correct.
But this
I don't
will
think-
supersede, this vote will supersede the vote from last month.
Okay. That's what I want to make sure, is for an audit. I don't think any of us are complaining about the $50 one way or the other. It's Kelly's point that's getting me. We need to make sure for an audit purposes. So that's what I'm asking, Brian, is if this does supersede that and we don't need to amend the minutes, I'm fine with that.
We can't amend them because we just approved them.
Yeah?
So this will supersede.
Okay. That's what I want to make sure, is that we are okay with that and that is all
It's
hunky-dory
just like
for-
changing policy. If we had a policy in January and something changed in our township and we made a new policy in March, the new policy supersedes the old policy.
Okay, as long as we're okay for an audit, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Okay.
And I really, the $50 isn't the issue, but it's always been, when we make motions, it's proceeding from then on, not at the, when a check, whether it's payroll or anything else, is approved.
And I see what you're saying, Paul. You're saying after that meeting's starting.
Right.
I do remember that
Because I
motion
asked
was
that.
immediate.
It's been moved and seconded. What's the?
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. So I sent a message to Kelly about the reports that she sent us. And I understand why we're trying to keep some private stuff private. But I also want to make sure that with the new way that it's being done, that it's very clear for everybody what's happening and where the money is. Is there a way to do something that's very simple without all the other stuff, just that comes to us? I know Paul and I did have a conversation about this. Some of the stuff needs maybe to come to the finance committee to take deeper dives and look at some things, you know, on a regular basis, just for eyes, for audit purposes. Just so we said, we looked at it in depth, not doing it right here necessarily all the time, but we need something more basic that comes out here for public view. And that, Paul, you want to go more about what we were talking about?
Well,
The only thing
There's-
that, okay, so what I sent you, the only thing I didn't send were the receipts and copies of the invoices. So with the receipts, we always usually make a copy of the check. So that part of it, the bank statement didn't come because then you have to make sure you're redacting some of that account information and stuff that way, but it is available to the board if you ever want to look at something. It's just not out there for the public, for everybody else to
But you can
see.
send it to us, like the,
So,
like the,
yes. Like the invoices and
the
what-
claims and the payroll, you can send that to us.
Yes.
I mean, and
That's
do
why I
the,
said
and do
some
the
of it,
short.
if it were to be sent out to the public, that's the concern, is that some of that is more confidential with
It
account
is
numbers, their
confidential.
addresses, their emails, all that stuff on some of those documents and stuff that they have made the agreements with the rental, it's got all their personal,
But-
that's the stuff that I just don't
But you can
want.
send it to us. And that was my concern with the claims, for instance. What are the details of claims, because there's sometimes particularly with the road, we're spending a lot of money making sure that they're doing things correctly.
But we have to be very clear, because if it's in our packet, it has to be,
It has to be.
Public.
Well, it doesn't have to be in the package, she can email it to us.
that's what we wanna make sure, that we make sure we set it up that way. that
Yeah.
There's,
Yeah,
and that may be done, as Paul said, through the finance committee or someplace where everybody can then be on it and we can look at it, right? Because otherwise it looks like we're hiding it, we're only getting it for ourselves and we're not putting it out in the public. Whereas if we had, people want to see it, they can see it, right?
if I'm
We
gonna
wanna make sure
authorize
it's open.
payment, I wanna know
Absolutely,
what the details are.
that's what I said too
Exactly.
today.
And that's why I'm saying it's still there, it's available, like you can ask for it, it's just the fact that it's
The
not,
we don't want the public to have.
don't need, right, you don't need this in your paperwork that's
Packet.
gonna be going out for a packet of information. But yes, the information is still there available for the supervisors and stuff that way if you ever need to.
Well, and
It's just the idea, when you put a packet together, like almost any city, that you pretty much are just giving those reports of what this is you're approving, but yet it is still here and available, so if you were to question, why is this typically $50, and now next month we've got $250 for a payment? You know what I mean? Those kind of things that, yes, go ahead and question, go ahead, and I'm just trying from the training and stuff like that I've been going through, this is just stuff that I'm
But
learning and wanting to
It's best
make
practices, and
confidential.
I fully understand best practices
stuff
of
that way,
keeping
so
private
I know
private.
it was a start.
Yep.
I know I'm new, I'm trying to get my ways, but I'm
Yep.
also wanting to make sure
I
we
think,
are covering our citizens and their private data of a copy of their check that they've made their deposit with, and that's going out and making sure it's not giving out their account number, their address, all this stuff to that when it's kind of included in some of those packets.
well, and that's where I'm coming from. I think that because the staff is a small staff, checks and balances, to protect you, to protect Shelley, to protect us, to protect the township. It's important that we have that. Normally, there would be two people handling payroll, or one would be in accounts receivable, one would be in accounts payable, and they sign off on things. And I know in previous ones, that was working, but yet we also are responsible as supervisors. So I think we still need to get the reports and the data. And if somebody in the public wants it, they have a right to get it. But, that the private information, and I'm gonna use the examples of phone numbers and addresses and that. Social security numbers, quite obviously, and all that usually gets redacted out of it. So that's my concern, is for us to be able to see
I just
it.
wanna make sure I don't miss something moving forward. I don't wanna all of a sudden, as I'm learning all this other
It's-
stuff, I don't wanna miss something and give out like, oh, sorry, I didn't even see that, I overlooked that, and then it's now exposed to everybody. I don't want that on all of us.
Well, I think that speaks to us wanting, or us, we have been discussing a much simpler report that comes to the meeting, that's up on the screen.
That's fine.
A
That's
much
fine.
simpler report, and then, but to Brian's point exactly, I even emailed you, where's this? I wanna see all of them, where is that? Before I'm going to approve anything.
And that's why I was happy to
Sent it back to me,
send it
right?
on and share
But
it.
let's
It's just,
do-
I'm not, I'm not hiding anything.
No, we're not
we're
saying
not
that
But
you are.
I just wanna make sure it's not out there for
We're not saying that,
public reports.
But you can send,
and
next
stuff that-
month, for instance, you can send all of us
I can
those,
send-
those two reports. Okay, and
Right.
that's all I'm
and if
asking.
you'd like to do it for audit purposes in two separate emails, where this is the packet papers, and this is the backing
The backing.
papers, the documentation of those reports, so that if you go to look at it, this was the packet, this is what was in it, this is your documentation of those reports. We can keep them separate, and we will know what they are. We can look at them. We'd love to have something that says, this is the account, these were all the bills we paid this month, these are the bills coming next month, this is the money that we are gonna spend, this is what we have in our account. Great!
Well, that's
Move
where,
on.
with that report that I sent out for like the claims list, that's what it was, claims
We might as well start going through them now since we have them on the consent
I
agenda.
can't pull it up.
So we might as well go through the cash control. Let's just, as we get to them, you can show us as you're going through. So we're back on the consent agenda on the routine claim